Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am one of your hosts, Memo, and today I've got my co-host, Hoops. What's up?
What's up, man? Um, how's life been going for you?
It's been alright. It's been alright. Not gonna lie, I've been very tired. Um, I guess because
Feel
of
you.
work and stuff. So I've been going to sleep relatively early, like around 10:30, 11, which I usually sleep around midnight every day. But yeah, I've been going to bed early. Haven't really been doing much besides
Yeah,
play some video games, listen to music, watch basketball. But how you been?
yeah. First off, I completely feel you on the tired part. I've been pretty similar with you because like the long days out here in China. But speaking on that topic, this week was actually quite busy, but it was also a pretty fun week for me here because we had the new employers training week and pretty much like lectures and learning new material for the company, which was a bit of a challenge. So that part wasn't necessarily the fun part, but the more fun part was like the team building events on. We had every other evening on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and usually during those nights we would have an activity or we would go out for a group dinner. So that was pretty fun. Um, and then earlier today I met with one of my dad's friends, which I consider as my uncle out here in China. And he pretty much just had me go over to his house for a little bit to meet his family, and then we went to one of the local parks in the area. So pretty much just explore some scenery. Uh, I returned to the U.S. pretty much exactly a week from now, but really less than a week because it's about to be Sunday, and I return next Saturday on the November 18th. And the clock is definitely ticking, winding down. I will say that the 1 month that I stayed here actually went by pretty quick. When I heard that I was gonna be here for 1 month, I thought that's such a long time, but once I got here, time went by pretty fast, and in the blink of an eye, I'm about to be heading back. So overall, I would say I had a pretty good experience here. Um, I'll miss some parts of the the Chinese culture out here for sure. But I'm definitely also at the same time excited to head back home because I miss my family and I miss my friends. And once I get back, I'll be able to meet up with Memo again. And hopefully, down the road, if we get the chance, we could also do a special edition in person podcast together. But that would be a story for another day. But end story is I have some mixed emotions, but overall, I'm happy that I'll be back home
Yeah, I'm happy that you're gonna come back really soon for sure. We gotta hang out like may-
for sure.
as soon as possible. Maybe next Sunday, maybe next Monday. Uh, just play ball, get some food, maybe go to a mall or something. I don't know, but we definitely need to hang out next week.
Definitely will work something out.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned you're in China, so I think we should go over, uh, just the like what time it is, what day it is for you, just so everybody knows when we're recording as well. Like for me, it is November 11th at 7:11 a.m. What day and time is it for you?
Me, it is currently also November 11th night at 11:11 p.m. So almost Sunday morning. Um, and of course we have the 16-hour time difference. So we had to pick a time accordingly. But good news is next episode should be once I'm back in the US, so we will no longer have to go through those tough time difference problems.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with this anymore, but I'm glad it's almost
Yeah,
over. And as you said, I
for
hope we
sure.
could like down the road make an in-person podcast episode. I think that'd be so sick. We just, need a place to do it, and honestly, equipment is an issue as well. It's just easier through Discord to record for me personally. Like, I'm in charge of the recording and editing process and stuff like that. So for me, it's just easier to do it this way. But if we get some money, like if your Chinese job is, you know, giving you racks and racks, and I get my first paycheck soon from my new job, I don't know. Maybe we could work something out down the road. But for now, I think this is fine at the moment. We're just starting, but it would be cool to do in person podcasts, and um, yeah, I think that'd be a lot more fun, especially since technology could be unreliable at times. Sometimes we cut each other off because of the lagging on Discord or whatever. So it would be better to do it in person, but at the moment, I think we're doing all right. I think so.
Definitely. It should be a fun experience down the road if we're able to get the proper equipment and whatnot on that end. But definitely we're excited that we will hopefully also have less technical problems once
Uh
I
huh.
get back.
Uh huh.
And technically, in a way, we can say our first episode back to normal.
Yeah.
Once I get back, since all of the episodes so far have been um while I'm in China.
Yeah. But let's move on. Let's actually start things off. We kind of have stuff to do, so we're gonna try to speed through this podcast a little bit. But let me go over the agenda. We're gonna first go over the standings for both Western and Conference, and we're gonna my bad, both Western and Eastern Conference. And then we're gonna go over the tournament standings. There's been 2 nights of tournament basketball now, so we're gonna go over some of the wins and losses, and then we're gonna go over the W list, the L list, what teams and players have been killing it, what teams and players have not been killing it. We're gonna go over that. There's a few NBA news that we felt like we should cover, and then lastly, we're gonna have some fun with an in-season tournament court tier list, which I think it's gonna be fun. I honestly thought it was fun doing the city jerseys tier list last week. I don't know how you felt, but I thought it was fun. So let's do it again, but with the in-season tournament courts.
Yeah. The City Edition jerseys tier list we did was definitely pretty fun, especially comparing and contrasting our personal opinions. Some parts we obviously agreed pretty good, while others maybe we didn't agree as much. But trying to find that common ground, um, in a way was a little bit tricky at times, but overall I thought that it was a good as in a way because it was able to in a way find solutions even when there are differences. So that was pretty fun, and I look forward to doing this as well.
Yeah, but let's go over the NBA standings. I think you went over the Eastern Conference last week, so I'll go over the Eastern Conference for this week. And starting at the bottom, 15th seed, we got the Pistons with a 2-8 record. 14th seed is the Wizards with a 2-6 record. Bulls is in the 13th seed with a 3-6 record. Surprisingly, the Cavaliers are in the 12th seed with a 3-5 record, and with the same record, the Hornets are in the 11th seed. In the 10th seed is the Nets with a 4-5 record. The following few teams have a 4-4 record, and that is the Magic, the Raptors, the Heat, and the Knicks. The next couple of teams have a 5-3 record, and that is the Bucks in fifth seed and the Hawks in fourth seed. The Pacers have a 6-3 record at third seed. The Celtics have a 6-2 record at the second seed, and at the number one seed, the 76ers, which we're gonna have a nice conversation about soon. But you want to go over the Western Conference standings?
So for the Western Conference, standing at the very bottom, we got the Memphis Grizzlies at 1-8, which is also still the worst record in the league. At 3-7, we got the Utah Jazz at 14th. At 13th, we got the San Antonio Spurs at 3-6. At 3-5, we got the Trailblazers and the Clippers, respectively, at 12 and 11 seed. At 4-5, we got the Pelicans, Suns, and Lakers at 10th, 9th, and 8th. Standing alone at the 7th seed, we got the Sacramento Kings at 4-4. Standing alone at 6, we got the OKC Thunder at 5-4. Standing alone at 5th seed, shockingly, we got the Houston Rockets at 5-3. At 6-3, we got the Golden State Warriors at 4-4. We got the Golden State Warriors at the 4th seed. At the 3rd seed, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves at 6-2. At the 2nd seed, we got the Dallas Mavericks at 7-2. And standing at the top of the conference and the entire league was the best record, we got the defending champion Denver Nuggets.
And there we go. That's the Western and Eastern Conference. Now let's go over the Eastern and Western groups for the in-season tournament. I'll do the Eastern group. So in Group A, only 2 teams have played in that. I'm sorry. Only, I guess, 2 games have been played. So the 76ers have played. They defeated the Detroit Pistons. Actually, let me go over all the teams, and then I'll go over like the wins and losses. So in Group A, there's the 76ers, Pacers, Cavaliers, Pistons, Hawks. The 76ers won once. They beat the Detroit Pistons. The Pacers won once. They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because of point differential, though, 76ers is ahead of the Pacers. The Cavaliers have an 0-1 record, of course, losing to Indiana. And the Pistons have an 0-1 record as well, losing against the 76ers. And again, because of point differential, the Cavaliers are ahead. And then in last is the Hawks, because they have not played an in-season tournament game yet. In Group B, the teams include the Hornets, the Heat, the Bucks, the Knicks, and the Wizards. The Hornets have a 1-0 record. They beat Washington. The Heat have a 1-0 record. They also beat Washington. The Bucks have a 1-0 record. They beat New York. Knicks have an 0-1 record, losing to Milwaukee. And then Wizards at the bottom with a 0-2 record. And then lastly, Group C for the East. It includes the Celtics, Nets, Bulls, Raptors, Magic. The Celtics have a 1-0 record. They beat the Nets. The Nets have a 1-1 record. They beat Chicago, but obviously lost to the Celtics. The Bulls have an 0-1 record, losing to Brooklyn. The Raptors have not played yet in the in-season tournament, so they're 0-0. And the Magic also have not played in the in-season tournament. They're also 0-0. So those are the group stages for the East. What are the group's records in the West?
So starting with Group A, we got the Utah Jazz, Los Angeles Lakers, Portland Trailblazers, Memphis Grizzlies, and Phoenix Suns. Standing at the top, we got the Utah Jazz at 1-0, having beaten the Memphis Grizzlies just yesterday. And then second at 1-0, we got the Lakers. They beat the Suns yesterday in their first in-season tournament game. Third, we got the Portland Trailblazers, who beat the Grizzlies last week in their first in-season tournament game. Fourth, we got the Suns, who lost their first in-season tournament game to the Lakers. And at the bottom of that group, we got the Grizzlies at 0-2, who lost their in-season tournament games to the Trailblazers last week and then the Jazz this week. Now on to Group B. We got the Denver Nuggets, Houston Rockets, Dallas Mavericks, New Orleans Pelicans, and the LA Clippers. At the very top, we got the Denver Nuggets at 1-0. They won their game last week against the Mavericks. At number 2, we got the Houston Rockets, also at 1-0. They won their first in-season tournament game yesterday against the Pelicans. At number 3, we got the Mavs at 1-1, having lost their first in-season tournament game last week to the Nuggets, but won their second game against the Clippers last night. And then at 4th seed, we got the New Orleans Pelicans, who are 0-1, having lost the game to the Rockets. And at the bottom, we got the Clippers, who are also 0-1, losing their first game to the Mavs. Now on to Group C. In that group, we got the Timberwolves, Kings, Warriors, Spurs, and Thunder. At the top, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves at 1-0, having beaten the Spurs last night. Number 2, we got the Sacramento Kings also at 1-0, having beat the OKC Thunder yesterday. At number 3, we got the Warriors, who are also at 1-0, and they beat the OKC Thunder last week. At number 4, we got the San Antonio Spurs, who are at 0-1, having lost their first in-season tournament game to the Timberwolves last night. And at the bottom, we got the OKC Thunder at 0-2, and they lost their 2 in-season tournament games to the Warriors last week on the controversial ending, and then they lost to the Kings last night. So those are your Western Conference in-season tournament standings after week 2.
All right, so now let's talk about the W list. The teams that are having a great season, or the teams that had a great week, the players that had a great week. And since I kind of hinted it already, let's talk about the 76ers, because right now they're on a roll. They're doing great things over there for a team that I thought were going to dip down due to the Harden situation. Like, I thought they were going to be the 4th seed. And, they might be later on. It's still early into the season. But right now, they're really killing it. I generally thought the Cavs were going to do better than the 76ers this year. But right now, they're on top of the Eastern Conference. And that is because they got rid of James Harden. They got rid of the distraction. Tyrese Maxey have been balling, solidified himself as the second guy there. I think at one point this week, I checked, so it's no longer the case, but at one point, they had 4 guys averaging over 20 points. They were, obviously Embiid, obviously Maxey, but it was also Kelly Oubre and Tobias Harris. They were all at one point averaging 20 points this season. That's no longer the case, but they're all around that mark. So they're doing great things right now. They're winning basketball. They're number 1 in this Eastern Conference, and I love to see it, honestly. Like, yeah, Embiid's kind of a choker when it comes to playoff time, so it's fun to clown on him with his like Mickey Mouse MVP from last year, like the petty MVP that he's been begging for the last few years, and they kind of gave it to him because they kind of felt bad, I guess. But honestly, I kind of love to see the 76ers thrive as mostly because Harden's not playing for them. I like that narrative. Get rid of Harden, don't have Harden play. You're doing big things. I like to see it. So, what are your thoughts on the 76ers?
Yeah. For the most part, same thing as what you said. They're doing really good. And some of it definitely comes to a little bit of a shock. Of course, knowing all those distractions they had dealt with Harden throughout the offseason. But as soon as they trade him, first off, they already started the season really good when he wasn't playing. And then as soon as they trade him, they continue to do really good. And good for them. Now they no longer have to deal with Harden anymore. Of course, they could have gotten a little bit better return value for him. But at the end of the day, I think that they're just happy that he's gone and they no longer have to deal with his distraction. And it's showing that this team is doing pretty good. Um, of course, history shows that they collapsed in the playoffs. But for now, we'll give them credit where it's due that they're doing really well. Um, Hopefully, they can continue that, but we'll see what happens. But I definitely do like the narrative also that as soon as you lose Harden, you do better. Um, because quite honestly, I am not a James Harden fan at all. The only time that I liked James Harden was when he played for the Thunder back when they had the young core of KD, Russ, and Harden. That was when I loved that trio. I loved all of those players back then. And then once they separated their ways, that's when like each of them kind of went downhill a little bit. I mean, I'm still a Russ fan. KD is cool, I guess, even though I didn't really like him on the Warriors. But Harden's a different story. I just haven't liked him ever since Houston. And after these last few years, the way he demanded trades, not once, not twice, but three times, like, come on now. First you want to be on this team. Then as soon as it doesn't go well, you want another trade again. Like he doesn't want to give the process a time to or a chance to pan out potentially. And as soon as something goes downhill, he wants out. I think that this very likely could be his last chance on the Clippers. And we'll save that topic for later in the episode. But going back, staying on the topic of Philly, it's good that they're doing pretty good without Harden. So I give them credit where it's due. They deserve to be on the W list for sure for all the reasons we mentioned.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have a lot to say about James Harden, but we're gonna save it for the L list when we, spoiler alert, talk about the Clippers. But let's move on to another team that has been very impressive. At least have impressed me, shocked me. The Timberwolves. They have been killing it this season, and it's because of their defense. They I don't know if they still have the best defense in the NBA, but at least at one point this week they did have the best defense in the NBA. And I hate to admit it, but a big part of it is because of Rudy Gobert, another guy I love to slander, but game is game. He is the only thing he's good at is defense, and that's what he's doing very well at the moment, and it's been helping the Timberwolves win games and win like big games. Like the Timberwolves gave the Nuggets their first loss. They also gave my bad. They also gave the Celtics their first loss, and it's because of their defense. And it also helps that they have two big guys. Like obviously, it's been an issue offensively having Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert as two centers that take up a lot of space in the paint. That's been an issue offensively, but defensively, it helps having two big bodies guarding, Jokic. Even though Karl Anthony Towns is not really a defensive player, he could take some bumps for Rudy Gobert, and then Rudy can take over. So the two big bodies do actually help, and I think that's like the best way to slow down Jokic. Not really stop Jokic. Jokic does Jokic things, but I think the Timberwolves might have unlocked the strat on how to slow down the Nuggets, and it's by having two big bodies. Uh, you know, I guess slowing him down, and that's what the Lakers did. Like in the bubble when they defeated the Nuggets, like they had Anthony Davis, they had Dwight Howard trying to slow him down, and obviously it wasn't prime Dwight Howard, but he was a good, strong defensive big man. So, yeah, you just gotta have a lot of big dudes to help slow him down, and that's how you get wins against the Nuggets, I guess. But the Nuggets are the Nuggets. They're gonna continue doing their thing. But sticking with the Timberwolves, they're doing awesome things. Anthony Edwards playing out of his mind, as expected, and yeah, I like to slander this team as well. Like I'm a hater. I'm gonna admit it. I hate on a lot of people on a lot of teams. So when I have the chance to hate, I'll do it. But right now, I don't have the chance to hate. I have to give credit where credit is due, and the Timberwolves have been doing well. But what do you think?
Yeah, Timberwolves have definitely been very impressive to start the season. They had an undefeated week, 3-0. And of course, as you mentioned, the most impressive game this week, at least, well, their most impressive feature in general is that they handed both the Nuggets and the Celtics their first loss. But if we're sticking to this week, win without a doubt was the game against the Celtics, which they won in overtime. And going on along with that, their other two wins were a blowout win against the Pelicans by 21 points, and also their in-season tournament win last night against the Spurs. I haven't been able to watch the Timberwolves, but seeing the box scores of what they did looks very impressive. And of course, handing two title contenders their first losses of the season, they definitely deserve to have some praise and definitely a spot on the W list. Um, so definitely a very good start for this team. Um, Personally, I have liked the Timberwolves for a few seasons now. I did like the Timberwolves better before they traded for Rudy Gobert. I'm also not a huge fan of him, but I gotta give him credit also for his start to the season. He is primarily a defensive guy and he doesn't really have any offense, but credit where it's due, his defense has been huge. And that's a very big reason why the Timberwolves are at 6-2 at the moment. And I will say I am rooting for the team's success. I do like Anthony Edwards. Carl Anthony Towns is cool to me as well. I'm not a huge fan of Rudy Gobert, but I'll give him credit where it's due. And at the end of the day, I think that this team is for sure overachieving. We'll see how long this lasts for, but so far so good.
And just to not gloss over these players as well, because they've been doing very well with their respective roles. Jaden McDaniels and Nas Reed have also been killing it. So I don't want to just name the stars. I also want to shout out the role players because they've been doing well. So yeah, that's enough talking about Timberwolves in a good way. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that. Let's talk about the Rockets now, which have also been a shocking team and is also a team I would love to slander. But unfortunately, I have to, be a little positive here because they have had a 5-game winning streak, which is surprising since, a lot of us assume that
Very
they were
scary.
going to be the worst team in the NBA, or at least one of them. But they've had a 5 game winning streak against some impressive team like our Lakers. Unfortunately, the Lakers got embarrassed by the Rockets. The Rockets out of all teams, the Lakers got embarrassed by. It's very disappointing, but yeah, I'm utterly shocked that they have a 5 game winning streak. But what are your thoughts of the Rockets?
Yeah. First off, definitely very shocked to see them on a 5 game win streak, especially after that 0-3 start. Um, and during that streak, they did have some impressive wins. Off they swept the Kings in their back-to-back homestand, which was very shocking in itself. Not only did they sweep the Kings, they absolutely destroyed the Kings in both games. Definitely unexpected there. And then after that, they play against our Lakers and blew the roof out of us, which was really embarrassing. Now, granted, we did have a lot of players out with injury, but no excuses there. There's no way that game should have been that big of a blowout. If anything, it should have been close, if even if they were to beat us. So that was very disappointing to watch as a Lakers fan, but very shockingly impressive from the Rockets' perspective. And then, of course, they win their first in-season tournament game against the Pelicans in a game where they did come back from down big. To start the fourth quarter, they were down 9, and then ultimately they came back and win the game by 3. I was definitely, yeah, Rockets have definitely been shocking me this week, and we'll see if they can keep it up. But they definitely are like putting a lot of, I guess they're putting the league slightly on notice at the moment with their impressive play. Um, we'll see if they can continue it, but at the moment, giving them credit where it's due, they are playing better than many expected, and probably Ime Udoka is the reason. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the Rockets. A shockingly good, impressive start to the season.
Have you seen their like new court? Not the in-season tournament court, but like the other court that they just unveiled this week.
I actually didn't see it.
I saw a picture of it, and basically in like the middle, where they do the jet ball, it's like a retro image of an astronaut. I think dunking. It's actually like really sick. So just to stick with the
Uh,
positives here, it's pretty cool.
yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I thought that the Rockets have had a history of some pretty cool courts,
Yeah,
like dating back to like the Yao Ming era, Aaron Brooks era.
the Aaron
Yeah,
Brooks
yeah.
era.
They've had some.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is wild. Aaron Brooks was pretty good for a few years, but kind of fell out of the league out of nowhere. But yeah, the Rockets have had a few cool courts in throughout their history, I will say.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, we talked about several teams. Let's talk about some players. Um, like let's maybe quickly go over Bam Adebayo. He's been having a good season, but the main reason why I want to add him to the list is because he had a 2020-10 game. Let me quickly try to pull up the stats here. Yeah, 22 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, which, you love to see it. I love seeing just crazy stat lines like those. Unfortunately, he did that against the Lakers once again. The Lakers keep getting strays. When the Heat beat the Lakers 108 to 107. I wish he did it to a different team. Maybe next time to the
Yeah.
Celtics or the Clippers. But it's
Yeah.
it's cool stat line, so that's why I wanted to shout him out.
Yeah. Honestly, yes. was of quite a cool accomplishment he did. It is unfortunate he had to do it against our team, but at the end of the day, I give him credit for what he did. It is a cool stat, and it's worth noting. As mentioned, wish he could have done it against a team that we don't like, but that was quite an impressive performance, and he really was a huge reason why the Heat won that game. So definitely worthy of the W list for Bam.
Another player that deserves to be on the W list is Asar Thompson, which I probably should have mentioned him last week, but luckily he's been consistently really good. So I'll be happy to talk about him this week. And, as a rookie, he's killing it on the defensive end. He's been rebounding like crazy. He's averaging 9.7 rebounds as a guard. That's crazy. 1.8 blocks a game as a guard. 1.3 steals, 3.7 assists, 11.3 points. He's been killing it for the Pistons. The Pistons obviously don't have the best record, but I see a bright future for this guy. He is athletic. He knows how to play defense at an early age. A lot of people have mentioned how maybe Wemby or Chet could be the first rookies ever to be on an all-defensive team, but Asar Thompson might have a chance as well to do that. And I think that's really cool how this class has some great defenders within it. So, yeah, I thought he deserved a shout out as well.
So yeah, I agree. Asar Thompson has been looking quite impressive. Even though the Pistons aren't looking very good, he's one of the few bright spots for that team. Of course, there's Cade Cunningham also, but sticking on topic for Asar, definitely a pretty good start for him. If there was any debate, I think that he is the better of the two brothers, but me personally, I don't think there was a debate that Asar was the better one between him and Amen or Amen, however you say his name. But yeah, he's been looking good. Pistons haven't been looking very good, but for his personal performance, definitely worthy of the W list.
I see that you're trying to divide the family already. That's crazy.
Mm,
I did want
yeah,
to
I mean,
give you a fun
I hate to
fact.
be that guy, but you gotta keep it real sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah, but what was the fun fact?
uh, so both Asar and Amen, their last name is XLNC. Excellence.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool,
Isn't that
actually.
wild? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is crazy, but it is pretty cool.
Okay, we can now talk about Scottie Barnes because right now he's revitalized his career, possibly going to make it to the All-Star game because he's been very well playing for the Raptors and proven already that this is his team and the Raptors need to surround him with players that complement his style, possibly trading Pascal Siakam. But at the moment, he is averaging 21.5 points, 10.4 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.5 steals, 2.1 blocks. He's doing it on both ends of the court. He's playing offense, he's playing defense, he's carrying the team during clutch moments. Um, and yeah, after a very lackluster sophomore year, he's really revitalized his playing style and is now playing how a lot of people expected him to play last year and is possibly gonna be a star in this league, which a lot of people probably wouldn't say that last year, but it's looking good for him. So I do think the Raptors should, start revolving their team around Scottie. I know Siakam is not really loving the situation over there. So trade him and get some pieces, and maybe the Raptors will be good again if they surround good pieces around Scottie Barnes.
So I'll start off by saying I've been a pretty big believer and fan of Scotty dating back to his very impressive rookie season. Of course, last year, he didn't quite do as good as people expected, which was quite disappointing. But as mentioned, a strong start to his third season. And honestly, even though he did have a disappointing season last season, I can't say that I'm shocked that he turned it back up this year. And maybe part of the reason could be due to the fact that Fred VanVleet is now gone, so they lose a ball handler and he's able to break loose a little bit more. But I think that for sure, as you mentioned, he is the future for the Raptors and they need to build this team around him. And if that means trading away Pascal Siakam, they got to do it. And yeah, I know that for sure Siakam probably isn't liking the situation, probably wants out. And if so, I think they're best off granting that move, the trade for both sides, really. The better good, the Raptors' long term future and also Siakam's long term future. But I'm glad that the Raptors kept Scotty. Obviously, like the Raptors were rumored to potentially pursue KD or other stars during the offseason. Well, not this offseason, but like maybe the trade deadline last year or the previous offseason. When they did have those rumors, I was always saying like, I hope they find a way to keep Scotty. And then you'll see like NBA Twitter or whatnot be like, you wouldn't trade Scotty for KD, thinking that it would be like such a no-brainer. And of course, we know how good KD is, but like Scotty's really starting to prove like why they made the right move to keeping him. So yeah, he's been having an impressive start to the season. Can't say I'm shocked about it, but I like what I'm seeing and definitely very worthy of being on the W list for Scottie Barnes this week.
Is there a team that you want to see Pascal Siakam get traded to? I personally have not put a lot of thought into it. I kind of thought maybe the 76ers should trade for him, but they're kind of doing very well with the pieces they have already. Um, Maybe I don't know how well he'll fit in the team, but I mean fit with the Heat, but the that team is struggling, so they might need another star on the roster. Uh, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on like teams that should trade for Siakam? Um, I can't really think of one honestly. Kings maybe, I don't know. But what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I've been having a little bit of a hard time thinking about one too. I also haven't really put much thought into it. But I think that the Heat could potentially be a good option you mentioned because, of course, they are struggling and they could do better. So maybe he could be a potential fit for that team.
Just don't know who would they
I was
trade.
thinking, yeah, I don't know, maybe trade Kyle Lowry back to Toronto. We'll see.
They might do that
Um,
honestly, but then
yeah,
again,
they might.
what's his name? The guy in the like the front office over there.
Oh,
Mm,
Masai Ujiri.
yeah, he's a stickler when it comes to trades. He like expects like 10 first round picks for OG. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
like I forgot about that part. So it might actually be hard to
I
trade
forgot
for
about that too. It will
Siakam.
be hard. Yeah. I was thinking maybe another team could be the Hawks, but I don't know who they would trade either. Um, and they have been playing pretty good, so maybe they don't necessarily need him. Um, so yeah, I haven't really put too much thought into it, but I guess the two teams I thought about were Heat and Hawks, if I were just to think of something in a moment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Speaking of Hawks, though, the last thing I want to mention in the W list is DeJounte Murray and Trey Young. I think, the Hawks are doing all right, but I think their chemistry is improving, and what what helped me realize that is the game against the Magic, where DeJounte Murray got made the game-winning shot for the Hawks, and that was thanks to Trey Young driving into the lane. Got a lot of people focused on him, and did this wild like wraparound pass to get Dejounte Murray basically a free 3-pointer. And I feel like not only is Dejounte Murray and Trey Young playing well together, but I feel like there's some other like teams that like are finally clicking with their roster. Dejounte Murray, Trey Young, I think they're finally meshing well. We talked about the Timberwolves. I think they're finally kind of meshing well with the addition of Rudy Gobert. Maybe even the Mavs as well with Luka and Kyrie. I think they're meshing well. They're doing very well this season. So hopefully this like keeps up. I want to see these like teams that added new additions to the roster like finally have good chemistry and start playing well together. And I think we're starting to see that with those teams. And it's cool to see that, the play for the game winner with the Hawks and the Magic. They have a lot of trust in each other. And, Trey Young doesn't have to hit those big shots anymore. He has someone to help him out. So, yeah, that's why I added them in the W list.
Yeah, I agree. This duo has been looking pretty good. Um, Obviously, we know the Hawks were pretty disappointing last season, but so far they look like they've been better than first week per se. When I don't remember what their record was, but they didn't start the season very great, and I think we put them maybe on our L list week one, but it's good that the Hawks are now picking things up, and the duo between Trey Young and Dejounte Murray has been looking very impressive. And speaking of the two, fun fact: did you know that Trey Young and Dejounte Murray have the same birthday? They were both born on September 19th,
I
which is
forgot
kind of
about that,
insane
but yeah, they do have the same
and pretty
birthday.
cool. Yeah, though the only difference is that Murray was born on September 19th of 1996 and Trae Young was born on September 19th of 1998. So 2 year difference but same date. That's pretty cool though. They're literally a star duo that has the same birthday. So that's a pretty cool fun fact.
That's actually
But
crazy.
yeah,
I'm slightly older than Trey Young. Oh my god, I feel old.
yeah. That is crazy, especially because like as fans, we're so used to the professional players being older than us. Now we're at the age where we're older than the newest draft class. It's crazy to think of that. But yeah, man, now we know how I guess uh older fans feel, right? I guess. But speaking of which, looking quite impressive and it's been fun to watch. Hopefully they can keep it up because I do like this duo and I do like the Hawks as a team. I'm rooting for their success. Um, it's been looking better for Atlanta and we'll see how things go going forward.
Didn't the Mavs have like at one point three players with the exact same birthday? I think it was Raymond Felton. Um, what's his name? He was an All Star one year. Uh,
Evan Harris?
no, not him. Um, he was an All Star with the Jazz. eventually went to the Mavs when he was. Oh, I think All Star with the Nets as well. Um, he had crazy
Mm.
handles.
You're not talking about you're not talking about Darren Williams, are you?
Darren Williams, Raymond Felton,
Yeah.
and who's the super short guy? The I think European
Oh, JJ Barea.
JJ Barea. I think they have the exact same birthday, and they were all playing with each other, all playing the same position for the Mavs.
I actually didn't know this, but that is quite crazy.
It's
Wow.
crazy. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's settled for the W list. Let's talk about the L list, which we don't have a lot to talk about. Honestly, unfortunately though, we will talk about the Lakers in the L list, which they did get that in-season tournament win yesterday against the Suns. They came back, big. They were losing for a big chunk of the game, and they started rebounding more and making more threes in the fourth quarter. So that helped them get the win eventually. But they did have a 3-game losing streak this week. Of course, losing to the Heat, losing to the Rockets. Who else did they lose to this week? Was it the
We
Magic?
lost to the Magic.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we should have won all those games. Like the Lakers are good
Yeah,
enough to
for
beat them
sure.
all
On paper.
on paper for sure. But unfortunately, they lost those 3 games, which is not good. And there were some scary moments as well this week. Anthony Davis had injury issues earlier this week, but he seems to be fine now. Yesterday, LeBron looked like he got injured, but he eventually came back. But those are scary sights to see as a Lakers fan. You don't want our stars. We don't want our stars to be injured. Nobody wants their stars to be injured, but especially the Lakers because, of course, they need LeBron a lot in order to win. Anthony Davis is the anchor for the defense, so yeah, not the best week for the Lakers, unfortunately. So they are on the L list.
Yeah, so due to my work situation, the time difference, and being quite busy out here, I wasn't able to actually watch any of the Lakers games this week, but I was able to keep up with the scores, and quite honestly, I wish I wasn't because these games were really bad. And those scores definitely caught me by shock, like very badly. Especially after coming off that impressive come from behind win against the Clippers last week. We thought that this team was looking really good. And then out of nowhere, they put up that horrible, piss poor performance in Orlando. And it's like, what happened to this team? No idea. And then we play against the Heat, who is not doing very good right now either. But on paper, they should be better than the Magic. But and the Lakers hung in there. They had a chance to win, but then I look at what happened at the end, and didn't the two teams go scoreless for like the last 2.5 minutes? I think that's what happened.
I think you're right.
So yeah, so it's like we were down by one for 2.5 minutes, had so many opportunities to take the lead, and wasn't able to do so. Sure, a game that slipped away. So that was quite disappointing in that sense that we had a lot of chances to win, but we couldn't. Um, Now moving on to the third game of the week for the Lakers, and probably the worst game against the Rockets. To that team by 34 points. When I saw that, I'm literally like, what the hell happened? And a lot of our key players were out that game. It did happen. AD was one of the main ones. It did happen to be the first game that Rui Hachimura came back, and he did really good. So that was one of the few bright spots that game. Not only did the Lakers lose by 34 that game, they only put up 94 points and they allowed the Rockets to put up 128 points. I do not know what happened there. So that was like very shocking and very disappointing to see. But on the bright note, we were able to end the week on somewhat the right note. Was that come from behind win against the Suns, trailing by 14, and in the second quarter, and pretty much trailing for almost 2.5 quarters from early halfway of the first quarter to early fourth quarter. The Lakers were able to come back, playing a lot better with their rebounding, and thankfully get that win in the in-season tournament game. Um, Hopefully they can play a little bit more consistent and more like the way they did in the Suns game, because that was a little, well, the fourth quarter was a little bit more like the Lakers that we expected. Um, so hopefully they can play like that more often. But overall, we still need to put the Lakers on the L list for their super inconsistency and losing to a lot of those bad teams. Not just losing to them, but also getting destroyed. And now, obviously, we know on like as of records, the Magic and the Rockets are not having that bad of records right now. Magic is 4-4 and Rockets is 5-3, both shocking the league a little bit. But point of it all is that those were just teams that even with that shocking starts, we shouldn't have lost to them. And even if we did, it shouldn't have been by that big of a margin. So that was quite embarrassing. So yeah, those were some very hard games to watch, but at least they were able to get the play-in or the in-season tournament win. Hopefully more similar to that moving forward.
Yeah, I know at the end of the game yesterday, LeBron mentioned how they're really going for that $500,000 that you get for winning the tournament. Um, and LeBron wants to be the best player of all time. He's doing everything he can to beat Michael Jordan essentially. Uh, do you think winning the in-season tournament is enough for him to have the edge over Michael Jordan?
No. I don't think an in-season tournament will do it. Now I will say this though. LeBron does have the potential to potentially maybe surpass Jordan if he's able to win like maybe a few more championships or maybe even one, to be honest, because I know that like he would still trail Jordan in rings, but he has so many other accolades, including the all-time scoring record and like more MVPs and whatnot, that even if he doesn't get 6 rings, there's a chance maybe he could be argued to being the greatest player of all time by some people. Me personally, I still think Michael Jordan is, but I think people could argue that LeBron is like the more complete all-around player. But I will say that I would not say that a season tournament will put him over the edge like right off the bat. So there's definitely still going to be a lot of debates for sure. But at the end of the day, I think that the more accomplishments that LeBron achieves, the more of a case he'll give that to potentially being the best all time over Jordan. Now, whether or not he is would be very subjective, I think. Like, it's going to be very opinionated by a lot of fans, but we'll see. I think that the accolades will only help, but I wouldn't necessarily say it puts him over the edge. So we'll see what happens.
What if he wins the in-season tournament and a ring this year? Will that be enough?
If he wins the in-season tournament and the championship and he wins the finals MVP, I think maybe that will give him quite a boost in the debate maybe. Now, I don't know if it will necessarily automatically put him above Jordan, but I think that it will definitely boost him like by a lot because the in-season tournament, finals, MVP, and championship all in one season, that would be very worthy. Um, if he somehow, some way found a way to also win the MVP for the regular season, I would give him an even bigger like boost into the all-time debate. Um, to say like something will put him like right above Jordan though is kind of hard to say since he would still be at the end of the day trailing MJ by a ring. Now I'm not the one that thinks rings are everything though, so I would say that it definitely gives him a massive boost. So it's very subjective, but we'll see what happens.
Don't forget about that Western Conference MVP.
Oh, true. I totally forgot about
And
that.
that's their
Even though we all
resume.
know Lakers do not celebrate conference titles, they celebrate real titles. Meanwhile, we have the Clippers celebrate making the playoffs in general or beating the Lakers in the regular season.
Yeah. We have different goals. Different teams have different goals. We go for chips.
Yeah,
The Clippers try to beat the Lakers every year. But speaking of
that's all.
Clippers, we're sticking to LA for losers of the week. And we gotta talk about the Clippers because they're probably the biggest losers this week. Of course, as we all remember last week, they traded for James Harden. And since then, their franchise have gone to shit basically. Like they're spiraling. They're spiraling. I have some stats here. Let me pull them up. But right now, it's not looking pretty. It's not looking pretty. I know against the Nets, the stars over there in the Clippers were inefficient. Paul George went 7 for 20. Kawhi went 7 for 16. Russell Westbrook 6 for 18. James Harden 4 for 9. Some other stats here. Before the trade, the Clippers were fifth in offensive rating, fourth in defensive rating, third in net rating. Now, after the trade, okay, of course, small sample size for both, but still, 25th in offensive rating, 28th in defensive rating, 27th for net rating. This is incredible. Incredible how essentially uh, James Harden is like a pandemic wherever, or maybe like the Midas touch, but instead, every touch turns into gold. Every touch for James Harden turns to shit. He ruined the Rockets. He ruined the Nets. He attempted to ruin the Sixers, but they're killing it right now. Well, actually, no. He did ruin the Sixers last season, choking in the playoffs, having like 9 points in the seventh, in Game 7, where they needed him the most. He disappeared. That's what he does ever since the Rockets days when he was an MVP, where he was averaging like a triple double and scoring 60 points every night. He would do great during the regular season and then choke in the playoffs. He was trash for the Nets. He had the most, he was the assist leader last year, helped Embiid get his MVP, but again, as I just said, choked in the playoffs. And now, as soon as he got to the Clippers went to shit. They were having a great season until he got there. Now, the Clippers suck, which I love to see. Let's continue this Clippers slander for the rest of the year because that's probably what's going to happen now that they have James Harden. And it sucks that, Westbrook might never get his ring anymore. Paul George might never get his ring anymore now that Harden's on the team. But, that's what happens when you join the Clippers. Bad vibes, always. Bad luck, always. They will never succeed, especially now with James Harden. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. What are your thoughts on the Clippers?
So continuing on what you said, of course we know the Clippers have been looking very bad ever since they traded for Harden, and it has been so great to watch. They are currently on a four-game losing streak, and it all started when they lost against the Lakers after leading us by 19. We come back in the second half, and we ended up beating them in overtime, even though the game shouldn't have gone to overtime. But after that, the first game since the Lakers game was not until they played against the Nets um earlier this week on was it oh actually I was wrong. They played against the Knicks first on Monday and they got destroyed that game and they lost against them by 14. But after that was when they lost against the Nets on Wednesday and the superstars really didn't look very good. And after the Nets game, they didn't play until the in-season tournament game against the Mavericks yesterday, and they absolutely got destroyed. Um, Luka doing what he does, cooking, and leading the Mavericks to a blowout win over the Clippers. The superstars once again did not look very great that game. Um, let's see. And the Clippers have been winless ever since they got James Harden. Can't really say that I'm shocked, to be honest. I mean, I thought that James Harden would help them a little bit for regular season. And granted, maybe they could put together some chemistry and they can win some games in the regular season. But I think that's the most that they will get. Um, if there's anyone out there that really still thinks the Clippers are gonna win the championship, like, good luck. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, at this point, I don't know how anyone could still fall for the Clippers hype. They, as always, look like they're the in-season champions on paper that come regular season time. And then when the playoffs come, they're either gonna choke or they're gonna have all those injuries and lose like that. It's always gonna be one way or the other. And this time for sure, it's with Harden on the team, it's pretty much a lock that they're gonna lose in the disaster. And I absolutely can't wait to see it. It has been because obviously we know the Lakers have had a pretty tough week this week, but seeing the Clippers have a tough week definitely made things a little bit better. And on top of that, we were able to win our in-season tournament game, and they got absolutely destroyed. That was also very fun to watch. So yeah, end result, as you said, wherever Harden goes, that team goes to absolute dog shit. And now that he spread that pandemic to the Clippers, it's just too fitting and really fun to watch. Yeah, Clippers are in shambles right now.
As they
Not
should
expecting
be.
them to get much better. Yep, not expecting them to get much better. And yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a
I
chemistry
can't wait to see
issue.
how the two pans.
Yeah, I can't wait either. But it's definitely been a chemistry issue
And
so far, right? You could tell by watching the Nets game. They there was just bad passes all around. Like James Harden didn't really know what he was doing out there with this new team. So I guess I'll kind of give them a benefit of a doubt that maybe if they have better chemistry, the team will do better. But it's
yeah,
not looking good right now. It's not looking good.
yeah. And although they didn't give up much in that trade, like still it showed that like their chemistry is really lacking. And I see a lot of Clippers fans are already very fed up with Harden.
Oh yeah, you sent me something.
Only 1 week into the season. Yeah. And that is quite amusing to watch, not going to lie.
I think I saw
So
a
yeah,
post.
best of luck to that team.
Yeah, I think I saw a post from Butt Crack Sports. obviously a parody account, but
Yeah.
saying that James Harden is already disgruntled with the Clippers, as if like he's ready to get traded again, which that's I wouldn't be surprised if that
I
was true.
I low key would believe that as a real tweet, quite honestly.
Yeah, it's just how James Harden is. He's the most like spoiled brat in the league. A
Yeah.
commentator, Brian Damaris, he went off on James Harden, I believe, last night after or during the Mavs game, where of course Luka destroys the Clippers once again. That's like his thing now, destroying the Clippers.
Yeah.
Um, but he really went
Even
in
though
on.
he should have been in the playoff.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, Brian went in on James Harden. If you haven't seen that clip, I really recommend it because he just goes off on him and well deserved. Like he really talked about how James Harden gets whatever he wants in the league and always ends
Ooh,
up
I saw
losing.
that clip.
Yeah,
Yeah, wasn't it the Mavericks reporter or something, or
yeah,
Mavericks commentator? Yeah, yeah, I saw that clip. He was on point.
yeah. It's the most honest thing any like analyst has ever said about James Harden. So respect to him.
Yeah,
But okay, are
yeah.
you done?
I'm glad he said.
I'm glad too. Are you done slandering
Yeah.
with the Clippers? I feel like I could go on for like another hour, but we do need to
Oh,
move
I
on.
can go on forever slandering that team, but just so we can try to keep our episode to a reasonable time length, we will move forward.
Okay, let's move forward to Klay Thompson, who gets a small loser for the week. I wanted to add him here just because of the atrocious attempt of a game winner when they were facing, or not game winner, game tying three when they were facing the Nuggets. Um, he was being chased down by defenders. He was going for uh, a floater three and missed by a lot, basically. Not only airballed, but it was very short. Like, it was about a yard away from the 3 point. Not 3 point. A yard away from the hoop, basically. Near the. Like, what is it? Like, the circle? The.
I think didn't his shot like barely even get past the free throw line? I
Yeah,
think it was
it
that
basically. It
bad.
was between the free throw line and that, like, circle that
Yeah, the
the
circle,
like the
yeah.
charges thing, whatever. But it was a
Yeah.
very bad shot, and you could tell like he was very
Yeah.
upset after that shot, which he should be. Klay Thompson is another player I love to slander, so that's part of the reason why he's here. And but most the biggest reason is of course that awful shot for the game tying shot, I guess.
Yeah. I saw that play and I was confused what even happened, to be honest. I mean, granted he was in transition and pretty much put up an off balance floater, but he practically just lost control of the ball. It looked like the way it just barely like spinned off his hand and hardly even went past the free throw line. I don't even know what happened, but yeah, that was quite embarrassing. Um, it seems like Klay Thompson has had a history of missing crunch time shots that was in the last few years. And when I was looking for this play, I saw that he missed a potential game winner last year against Denver also in Denver, which is a pretty wild coincidence. So I guess we can just confirm that Klay Thompson is a constant choker when it comes to games against the Nuggets. Well, now obviously they did beat the Nuggets in the playoffs a few years ago, and I'm sure he did decent then, but like the last few years has been quite different. So yeah, definitely very worthy of being on the L list because that was a very weird and embarrassing shot.
For sure. Let's move on to the referees because to me, the referees have been out of control with the ejections, I think. Starting with Giannis Antetokounmpo, he dunked the ball. He was flexing on the opponent, on his opponent, kind of hanging onto the rim before then as well, and then he got ejected. He got ejected for that, basically, which is insane. Like, why can't players hang onto the rope a little longer or flex on their opponents? Like, they should be allowed to trash talk and to, you know, like top dog the other opponent, little bro the opponent.
I agree.
But not. They ejected Giannis. They also ejected Jaren Jackson Jr., I believe, yesterday, for just getting angry, basically, which he wasn't doing anything extreme. He was very upset, but as we mentioned yesterday, Draymond Green did not get a technical for his tantrum, and Jaren Jackson Jr. did not. It was not as passionate as Draymond last week. He was noticeably upset, but he didn't deserve to get taxed and get ejected for his reaction, especially if we compare it to Draymond Green's reaction from last week, where he's yelling in refs' faces, aggressively using his hands towards them, pointing them out, just again having a temper tantrum at his old age. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like, the refs are ejecting like the wrong players. Like, these are all stars that people pay to see. I don't know how many people want to see Jaren Jackson Jr., not gonna lie. But, Giannis is a big name player. People would love to see and pay a lot of money to see him. So having these guys, these all-stars, get ejected over something stupid that Draymond Green does like every single game is insane. Like, at this point, they should be ejecting Draymond every game with like his antics. But yeah, again, the refs are out of control. They're whack for doing this. Did you know about this?
I did not get to hear too much about this actually, if I'm being completely honest, since I've been quite busy. But the fact that the refs have been bad really doesn't shock me. Um, Refs have been making some very bad calls, like in recent seasons. Um, and I feel like to a certain point, like it's just to a degree that it's too much, honestly. And a lot of the times they just make like some very dumb calls that either like it's very inconsistent. It's gonna be either they make a dumb call that clearly shouldn't even be like a real foul, or they'll miss a call that's so damn obvious. Like, obviously we remember last season in January, foul plays where they got fouled and the refs weren't calling them, and it cost us like 5 games. That could have really blew our playoff chances. But fortunately, post deadline, we were able to overcome that and get in anyway. So, nice try, NBA. But yeah, NBA has been very trash for the refs lately. Um, and something really needs to be done there. I don't know what's going on, but yeah. And some players have said this themselves, but they're gonna get fined for get being mad about referees' poor calls. Referees should be getting punished for blowing teams' games, or if anything, like they should get a fine or they should get suspended too, instead of only the players getting in trouble for being upset, even when the referees are wrong and they're right. Referees pretty much get no accountabilities, period, and it is very dumb. So yeah, I wish that the league would fix something about that. The only somewhat shocking incident where the refs did have some accountability by the league was the Eric Lewis incident. Thankfully, he got fired because that guy was a damn piss poor ref. I mean, he's the guy that didn't call that blatantly obvious slap on the wrist by Jason Tatum on LeBron last year and cost us the game in overtime. But yeah, end result is that refs have been really bad, and for sure they deserve to be on the L list.
Yeah, I will say I do think the refs do like have some kind of accountability. It's just not publicized. But they do have like refs refing the refs. That's apparently a thing. But I think,
I literally did not know that.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, I do think it sucks when players and coaches speak their minds on the refs and they get fined heavily. I think the Grizzlies coach went on a rant about the refs a little bit when Jaren Jackson Jr. got ejected, and you know the calls weren't going their way. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets fined, which is unfortunate. Like, I understand why they would fine these players and coaches over this, but at the same time, like, refs should get called out from time to time. Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, we can move on to the last little piece of news here, or last thing in the L list, and it's a little more fun topic. It's the Hawks and how they are promoting the in-season tournament. Um, you have not seen this commercial, correct?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Okay, what I think would be a funny idea is get your first reaction right here. And I know Discord
Okay.
has a YouTube feature, so maybe we could just watch it off Discord. Give us like literally a second with the magic of editing, but we need to set this up really quickly so that we could see his reaction while watching the video. So I'll see you in literally a second. And okay, we pulled it up. I've got the video that the Hawks are using to promote the in-season tournament. It's called Only Hawks Fans. If you know put two and two together, you might know where this is going already. But are you ready to check this out?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my genuine live first time reaction to this video. Let's see what happens.
Only Hawks fans know where the real action is. Only Hawks fans know what they really want to see. And only Hawks fans know just where to get it. The all-new NBA in-season tournament. Join in and wake up your wild side. Hot 5-on-5 action.
Okay. I literally do not know what the intent was there. I mean, I know the inside humor, only Hawks fans to only fans, but how does that have anything to do with the NBA in-season tournament?
L-
I have no idea.
Literally nothing. Literally nothing.
So yeah, I am genuinely confused by this video. Yeah. I don't know what to say except they absolutely deserve to be on the L list.
Yeah, that's such
Just
a
confused.
it's such a trash video. It's so embarrassing and weird and cringy. Uh, yeah, definitely deserve to be in the L list. All right, now that we got that out of the way, we could do some quick news. We have a lot of injury news, but before we get into that, let's talk about Steve Kerr, who is he's still currently the head coach of USA Basketball. Led the team to a fourth place finish in the World Cup, which was very unfortunate. But there's a lot of players that are gonna come together for the Olympic Games, so they might do better there. But yeah, Steve Kerr, after this Paris Olympics run, he will be retiring. So he said that this job shouldn't be held by one person for so long. He noticed that Greg Popovich only had this position for a few years, so he decided to do the same thing and retire after the Paris Olympics, at least for Team USA. I'm sure he's going to still be coaching for the Warriors. But what are your thoughts on Steve Kerr retiring from USA Basketball, and who do you think will replace him?
Yeah, so I was definitely a little bit shocked to see this news, especially because, as you mentioned, he was hardly even the Team USA coach for a very short stint. I mean, like, Popovich was pretty much the head coach for Team USA up until the 2022 FIBA Cup, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like Kerr is practically only being the head coach for like 1 or 2 years, practically. So Steve Kerr practically is only going to be Team USA's coach for 2 years, which is very short. And obviously, Pop's stint was very short too, but it's definitely shocking and a little bit unfortunate because Team USA, the most ideal is if we could have like the best head coach possible. And those two are two of the top head coaches in recent history, currently in the league. So finding a replacement will be tricky. As far as the replacement goes, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I would have to think a little bit. But there are certainly some possible candidates there could be. I mean, of course, like knowing how good of a team Denver is, maybe Mike Malone could have some validity there. I'm not a huge fan of him anymore due to all the slander he talked towards our Lakers. Even though I do like Denver as a team because they got a nice, talented team that's fun to watch. Once again, despite how badly they beat us in the playoffs, but um, Mike Malone has been talking a little bit too much smack, in my opinion. Like, even when they won the championship, still talking about the Lakers. So, not a fan of him there, but giving him credit, he is a good head coach. So, maybe he could be considered for Team USA. Um, Other options could potentially be maybe Eric Spoelstra from the Heat. We all know how good of a coach he has been. And it's quite shocking to hear that he never won a Coach of the Year, especially knowing how great those Heatles teams were when they had the big three of uh, Braun, Bosch, and Wade. It's very shocking he never won a Coach of the Year, but I think that he has a very good validity to possibly being Team USA's next head coach. Um, as far as other options, I think I would have to think a little bit deeper to see who else might be candidates. But at the moment, I feel like probably the top candidates would be the the two teams that were in the NBA Finals last year, Mike Malone and Eric Spoelstra. Any thoughts for you, Memo?
I will say that in Kerr's current coaching staff, when it comes to NBA coaches, Ty Lue and Eric Spoelstra are in the roster. So it's got to be one of those two, and I think it will go to Eric Spoelstra. He is an incredible coach. So is Ty Lue. Like, I'm actually a fan of his coaching, but Eric Spoelstra, as is a seasoned veteran, he is a really good coach. He'll bring the Heat culture into Team USA basketball, I think. So I think he's the man for the job if he wants to accept it.
For sure. Yeah. I think that Eric Spoelstra is a very good option. And quite honestly, I think he would be the right option as well. So I think we are on the same page on that topic.
All right, let's move on to some pretty sad news, honestly. There's a lot of big injuries that occurred this week, so let's go over some of them. Like Robert Williams, he is gonna get season-ending right knee surgery because he's injured. He's been pretty injury prone as a young guy already. He was injured a lot for the Celtics, but every time he came back, he always played well. So unfortunately, he won't be playing for the rest of the season. I'm sure he didn't really have a big role for the not Cavaliers, Trailblazers, but still it sucks to see that he's not gonna be playing anymore. CJ McCollum, he has a collapsed lung, which is insane. It has happened to him before, I believe. No timetable yet, but they're saying it won't be as lengthy as expected. But he's definitely an important piece to the Pelicans. He is like basically their main ball distributor. He can score. He's a really good player. And then this one, this news broke out, I think last night or sometime yesterday. But Cam Thomas is out for 2 weeks due to an ankle injury. He is the leading scorer for the Nets. He's been balling out, scoring like Kobe. He's had 40-point games, 30-point games. He's insane. I think he's averaging like 26 points. So, yeah, it's unfortunate when players go down with injury, especially if the team really needs them. So, what are your thoughts on these injuries?
Yeah. Start obviously some very unfortunate injuries here. Obviously, some of them were a little bit coming kind of like out of the blue. I mean, obviously injuries you can never predict and all, but season-ending injuries are the worst. And obviously, hearing Robert Williams' season-ending injury was quite sad because we all know like he's had a lot of injuries, even dating to his Celtics years. But whenever he was healthy, he was such a key contributor to that team. So we all know how good of a player he is when he is healthy. And it's unfortunate when good decent role players can't stay healthy because we all know how good they are when they are on the floor. So that was unfortunate. Going on to CJ, of course, we heard that he's had similar injuries in the past, and it's crazy that he had the collapsed lung this time. That's similar to his past history. So the good news is that he won't be as long as expected, though we don't know how long he will be exactly. So it's good that he won't be out too long. And as far as Cam Thomas one, you absolutely hate to see when a player on a roll is doing so good and then an injury like this keeps them sidelined for a little bit. Definitely not something you want to see, but it does predict that he'll be out for just 2 weeks. So hopefully after that he comes back strong and plays just like how he left off before the injury.
So yeah, it sucks that all these players got injured. You hate to see it, especially since they're like very important players for their respective teams. So that sucks, but let's try to light to the mood now and do the in-season tournament court tier list, which I have a link to, and we're gonna need like a second to set this up like last week, but I think this will be really fun. All right, so we have the tier list up, and yeah, S through F. Let's start with the Hawks, which I feel like their court is a lot better than their city jersey. I do like the light blue that they're going with, which kind of random color for the Hawks, but nevertheless, I do like this one. I honestly might say A or B.
Yeah. Honestly, I agree. This court looks kind of cool in my opinion. And even though baby blue isn't really a Hawks color in general, I've always been a fan of baby blue / powder blue. So although this isn't really the Hawks typical color scheme, I do like the creativity overall because of the color scheme. I am a fan of powder blue and baby blue. I would say I would give the Hawks court a rating.
All right, let's give it an A. It's up there. It's an A. Okay, next is the Boston Celtics. I actually like this one too. I like the dark green. Green has been like a color I've been loving a lot more lately. I've been wearing a lot more green because I just like the color. And I like this dark green, and then the brown or tannish stripe through the middle pairs well with it. So honestly, this might be another A for me. B is fine as well, but yeah, A or B for me.
I'm not gonna lie. This court looks pretty cool too. The dark green was pretty creative, honestly, because obviously we know the Celtics practically just use the same court style throughout their history with the parquet floor. So this is quite different, and I actually do like it. And I think that the Boston font at the half court is also really cool. And I actually think that the tan color does blend in well with the dark green. So for that reason, I would say also that the Celtics court is an A design.
Let's put in an A. There we go. It's an A. Next is the Brooklyn Nets. They have like a gray color scheme, a dark gray for the most part, and then a light gray through the middle. I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings. Like, I do like gray, but it kind of looks bland to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of have mixed feelings also because I like the gray color. I kind of think it looks cool, but it is also pretty bland. I would say I'm thinking maybe B, but could argue for C also.
I was leaning a little
Oh.
more towards C.
Okay, we can do C. I think it's about average, as the grade would indicate.
Okay, so we'll put that in C. Next is the Charlotte Hornets. Not as good as their city jerseys, I think. I don't really like the combination of the, was it like a navy blue and then teal?
Yeah.
Maybe C tier for me. I don't know. What do you think?
I was thinking maybe C tier. I do think it's a very weird combination, but I wouldn't say it's horrible. So yeah, I say C tier.
All right, let's put it in C. The Bulls. The Bulls are next. They have a very red court.
Yeah.
I will be
I don't
honest.
like it, honestly.
I don't like the bolder colors. When it comes to the courts, it kind of hurts my eyes. But I don't know. I don't think it's F either. I think it should be D, but I wouldn't be surprised if you said F.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I was thinking F.
You were thinking
but
F?
I could argue. Yeah, but I can argue for D also. So it's gotta be one of those two.
I would say
Uh,
D because I feel like there's courts here that are a lot worse than this one.
okay, yeah, we can put D.
Okay. Next up is the Cavs, which their court kind of looks like a regular court, at least compared to the others, since their
Yeah.
court is mostly like tan, brown, like just regular hardwood. But what do you think about the Cavs court?
You know, to be honest, I think that this court almost pays a little good homage to the Cavs' past history. It reminds me a little bit of like the court that they had during the end of LeBron's first stint in Cleveland from '08 to 2010 or whatever years it was. At that time they also had like a pretty regular like whitish court at that time, so more of like the color it was in the rectangle of the paints. But low key, I kind of like it, even though it's simple. Um, I would say I would honestly maybe put it as a B, but I could argue for C also.
Let's put in B. Let's put in B. I was thinking
Okay.
A or B, but we could put in B. I think that's a good one. The next one is the Mavs. They have, I guess, there's another great court with the Mavs. I don't even know how I feel about this. It's kind of dull, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's like kind of cool, also kind of weird. Um, I could argue maybe like similar level to the Nets court, maybe sea level.
Sea level? Okay. I feel like the
Yeah.
Nets one is a little better, honestly. Um,
Oh, probably.
Probably. Do you think it
I
should
feel
be
like
D or
I feel like
stick with C?
because I feel like it's not as good as the Nets one, but I feel like it's far superior with the balls, to be honest.
Okay, so
So
let's leave it in
I feel
C
like
then.
technically, yeah, I feel like technically on either tier it's somewhat flawed, but I feel like maybe more of C, as you said.
Okay. The next one are the Nuggets, which for some reason they got the 5,280 on the middle of the court, which kind of ruins it for me. The dark blue kind of looks ugly, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't really like this one. I'd say D.
Yeah. To be honest, the gold color was okay for me, but I feel like the sudden shift from the gold to the dark blue is
Mm-hmm.
just too drastic and very bizarre. And as you mentioned, the 5,280 at the mid court, I don't really like that. I would much rather if they just had the mountain logo that they
Yeah.
regularly use. Yeah, I don't like the 5,280 at half court either, but at the end of the day, I would say this is not a very great court. I would probably put it in D tier along with the Bulls.
All right, let's put it in D. It's kind of ugly. I can't lie. Next one. I don't know how I feel about the next one. It's the Detroit Pistons, like gray with the red. At least they have like a different color when matching with the gray. When the Nets and Mavs did it, they just matched gray with gray. The Pistons have gray with red this case, but I don't know if that's better or worse, honestly. Honestly, don't know. You're the graphic designer. Do you know, what are your thoughts on
Yeah,
this?
well, I will start by saying like some of these are kind of hard to judge just based off of the like digital art concept
True.
versus like seeing the actual court. But just from seeing it from a distance, I don't really like it. Though colors are not bad, I just feel like the transition is a bit bizarre. But I will say that I do like the Detroit cursive font.
Yeah, it's
I could
nice.
argue that this, yeah, I could argue that maybe put this in the C tier because it's for sure better than the Bulls and the Nuggets to me.
Okay, we'll put it in C. I trust your judgment.
Okay.
But yeah, the next one. Okay, I don't know if I'm hoping you're on my side on this one. But the next one is the Warriors, and they literally look Dookie Brown. Like this is atrocious. I do like brown. That's like another color that I've been liking a lot more. I've been wearing a lot more brown, but this is god awful. The brown and the yellow is a horrible combination, at least for this court. And again, Dookie. That's all I see. Dookie all over. What do you think? Because I think this should be the first F in our tier list.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. This court looks absolutely disgusting. Like, what the hell even is this? It looks like, yeah, no comment. It looks like rest a restroom emergency happened. Like the piss and the poop mix up. Like,
Oh
what
my
even is
god.
this? Yeah, that's a very ugly mixture. Yeah,
But
this has gotta be
you're
in
so right though. You're so right. It looks like
yeah.
a disaster. It looks like
Yeah.
dog shit and
So
dog
for
piss.
sure, yeah, for sure, F tier
F
without a
tier,
debate.
without a debate. I agree. I agree. Next one though. I actually really like this next one. So I wonder what's your take, but it's the Knicks. Usually I don't like the bold colors, and obviously it's orange. It's very bold, very bright. But the orange and blue is a classic combination. Um, and yeah, the 3D looking logo is cool. I really like it. I think it's a A tier, maybe even S tier, but I might be over exaggerating a bit. What are your thoughts?
I was thinking maybe a B tier originally, but I kind of do like the orange color. I do think that the orange and the blue is a kind of sudden shift, but I would say I was thinking B tier personally, but I could understand where you're going with the A and the S though. Like it's it seems to be a pretty cool court.
Should we go A since it's somewhat in the middle?
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Okay, put at the end of A. Not the best in A, I guess, in your opinion, but
Yeah,
we'll put in
A minus.
A minus. Next one though, it's definitely no A
Yeah,
minus. It's just minus. It's the
yeah,
Pelicans. Yeah, this
yeah.
is atrocious. Like you could barely see the
It
actual
is.
Pelican. It's ugly. Purple and green. It's an alright color scheme if we were like in October for Halloween, but Halloween's
Yeah.
over. This is atrocious to look at, and yeah, a weird color scheme.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is such a bad court. I would really put it in the F tier.
Same.
I do think it's better than the Warriors court, but it is quite bad. So yeah, it belongs in F.
I think it belongs in F. I think it's worse than the Warriors court, honestly, but that's my opinion.
Ooh, okay. They're both bad, that's for sure.
They are both pretty bad. Next court though
Yeah.
is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and yeah, I think this one deserves to be pretty high. I actually like this powder blue, baby blue a lot more than the Atlanta Hawks one. And looking at it, it looks chilly, and Minnesota gets chilly, right? So I think it's very fitting.
Yeah.
Uh, this one is another S or A tier for me.
Yeah. I agree actually. I think this court looks really cool. It's a good representation of Minnesota as a state or city if you want to talk about Minneapolis specifically. It looks really cool. I've got to put this as an honestly, I would put it as an S tier jersey. I mean, not jersey, a court.
Let's do S tier because I feel
Does
like
look really
there's not going to be a lot of courts that are going to contend
yeah.
for S tier. But I think this is
Mhm.
not only the most fitting court for the team that, uh, it's representing, but it just looks really nice, very sleek, and it kind of looks like ice too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that also.
The next one is the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't know how I feel about this one. I, I can't tell honestly. It's bad and good at the same
Yeah.
time.
I am also very torn and I completely agree with you. I think that the gesture is cool, representing the state of Wisconsin, using the bold blue on the state and also the bold blue of the Milwaukee text and the out of bound lines. But I also don't really like the teal rectangle connecting the two paint areas and the Pfizer Forum fonts. I don't necessarily like either. I mean, I know that's just how it is commonly for like all the courts regular, but yeah, I agree that it's both good and bad at the same time. For that reason, I feel like low key, it kind of makes sense for C then if it's both good and bad,
Yeah, it's
because I
mid.
guess that balances out to average. Yeah. So why don't we put it in C tier?
Okay, so Milwaukee is in C. The next court is the Miami Heat, which is a bold red one. I might be leaning towards D. I feel like it's the same tier as the Bulls red court. Maybe even a little better.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
I honestly do think it's a little bit better than the Bulls court, but I still think it's quite weird, like with all the boldness. So honestly, why not? Just put it on the same level as the Bulls because I feel like it's not as good as those C tier courts.
Okay. So the Heat is in D. Next is the Grizzlies. Another gray court. This might be the best gray court though. Like, yeah, it's gray on gray again, which sucks, but it pairs well with not only the gold trophies, but the goldish looking Grizzlies logo as well. So, what do you think?
Um, I think that it's a okay court. Um, I think it's maybe about the same level as the other gray courts. Maybe a little bit better than Mavs and Pistons, I think. But maybe I like the Nets one a little bit more, shockingly.
So, should we do C?
I would say C would make sense.
Yeah, I guess if it's a gray court, it's automatically in C. That's the trend we're
Yeah,
looking at right now.
seems like it.
Next
Yeah.
court though, our Los Angeles Lakers. I don't like the yellow, but honestly, looking at it more, it is growing on me a bit. So I would say either B at the highest or C.
Yeah. Uh, I think this is one of the courts where I think it's very hard for me to judge if I don't see the actual court.
Yeah, we haven't
I
seen
think
it
that
yet.
the image here, yeah, I think that the image here doesn't really do us much justice, because I think it looks ugly from the image. But maybe the actual court will look cooler. I would not know for certain, but at this very moment, I was thinking
D.
somewhere in the C or D range.
Ooh, let's put it in
We can put C.
C. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe we should like actually look at it, and that'll help us have like a better judgment on the court.
yeah.
Okay, next one are the Clippers, which I think it's alright. I think it's good. Not the best court with blue, but it's okay. I say C for this one.
Yeah. I'm gonna honestly say I agree it's not as horrible as I would think, knowing how ugly their city jerseys are.
Unfortunately, that logo's
Um,
there though, which is pretty trash.
yeah, that logo does not help. I will say that. Um, I will say that I like the powder blue slash baby blue a lot. I'm not a big fan of the navy blue,
Same.
but I don't think it's a horrible court. Yeah, so maybe C as you suggested.
C. Okay.
Yeah.
Indiana, on the other hand, has a better blue court, which is the next team we're looking at.
I agree.
I do like the blue and
Yeah.
yellow UCLA vibes. Um, I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you
I
think?
like that.
A, B? What do you
Yeah.
think?
First off, I will say that I think that the baby blue and the gold blends pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think that historically, baby blue and gold does blend pretty good throughout sports. Like, obviously, we saw the Denver Nuggets wore those baby blue, those powder blue jerseys
Yeah.
with the gold text. Those were so cool.
The
One of my
Kenneth
top favorite
Faried
NBA jerseys
era.
of all. Yeah, Kenneth Faried era, Carmelo Anthony era, or more well known for Carmelo Anthony, but
Yeah.
also partially Kenneth Faried. Shout out to the Manimal. I actually did like that man a lot.
Me too.
Um, also, yeah, also like kind of like UCLA Bruins a little bit, even though UCLA's blue is slightly darker. Maybe also like the LA Chargers also use a similar color scheme. Point is, I like when powder blue and gold blend together. So I would honestly say I could argue maybe A or B at worst.
Should we do B?
Yeah, I think B would be okay.
Okay, I'm gonna put it in B. Next court, I think might be the worst red court, honestly. And is that the
Yeah, that
Rockets?
looks
Houston
ugly.
Rockets? It looks really
The H
bad.
Town.
Yeah, the H Town,
Yeah,
the bold red, bold blue. It's such a ugly combination, honestly. Looking at it now,
yeah. For a second, yeah, I was gonna say for a second when I saw the red font and the bold blue, I thought it was Pistons like, but then again, we already saw the Pistons. But the result is that it's not good. You can hardly even see the red text over the blue background. I would put this at
F.
E at best, but arguably F.
Let's do F.
So let's do F.
This next court, I don't really like either. Is the Oklahoma City
Either.
Thunder. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just the logo does not look good on that navy blue. I don't mind the other blue, but yeah, the strip and the logo are not doing it for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think the light blue looks good honestly, but the navy blue and the orange logo look pretty garbage. So unfortunately, I think that's what breaks the court. So I would say this is a very not a good court. I would probably put it in D tier.
Let's put in D. Yeah, it's it does not look good. But let's move on to the Magic. I think the Magic has the best gray court probably with that gray and navy blue. It does look nice together. I personally would say B maybe, but what do you think?
I think this is a generally cool court and maybe could be the first gray court that we put in the B tier.
All right, let's do it then. I also like the logo that they're going with too. That helps a lot as well.
Yeah, I like that logo. I agree. That's one of the reasons why I thought of it higher. I'm not the biggest fan of navy blue paint, but I think the logo is what gives it a massive boost. So B is good.
Okay, next one is the 76ers. Yeah, like the rest of the red so far, it's not that good. I don't even know what color
Yeah.
is that. Is that black or like a very dark blue?
I think it's supposed to be navy blue.
Navy blue. It does not look good. And I feel like the
Like it.
logo is way too
Yeah,
skinny as well.
yeah. I'm gonna be completely honest. I actually think this might be the worst red court.
You think so?
It's definitely close. I think so. But I think it's very close between this and the Rockets one. Um,
It's pretty bad. I honestly wouldn't
so
mind
for
putting it in F.
yeah, E or F, I think we should put it in F to be
Let's
honest.
put it in F. It's not good.
Okay, that is
Um,
ugly.
yeah, I got to see this next court last night. The Suns with their purple
Yeah.
court. How do you feel about this court? I think the purple is
uh,
too dark, but I do like this combination here with the blue and the purple.
I agree. I was able to see some snippets of this court, and I thought that it was kind of cool, honestly. Um, I could argue this could maybe go into A tier, to be honest.
A tier. You know what? Let's
But
do
I
it.
could see, but I could see B also.
I was
A tier,
thinking
you think A?
B, but A tier fits as well. I think it's fine being in the A tier. It is pretty good.
All right.
Court.
Yeah.
Next one, Rip City, the Blazers. I think this is the best red court, and not only should be out of the D, but I think honestly maybe even past the C and go into the B. Uh, I usually don't like the red courts, but I really do like this one. I think the color combination is cool. The Rip City jersey fits. I mean, logo fits in very well. But what do you think?
I agree. I think this is honestly a pretty cool court. and I also agree that it's the best red court. That being said, I think that B is a pretty good rating.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, let's put it in B.
Okay, let's put it in B. I'm actually a little surprised you agreed, but I'm glad you agreed.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, next is the Kings. I don't really like this one. I don't even know what color is that, honestly. Is that a gray? Is it a type of blue? I
I
don't
think
know.
it's gray.
Yeah, it's a
I think it's a gray in the back and then the blue line.
blue line. Okay, yeah, I'm not a fan of this one. It looks pretty bad. Um,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Um, I think at best C, it's really arguably D,
Let's put in D.
but I don't think it's F,
You don't think what?
Yeah. I said I don't think it's F quality though, so I guess it could be a D jersey.
Let's
I meant court.
let's put it in D.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
I think the original Kings jersey I had is a C. Just a random fact.
All right, this next one, I don't even know which team is this for.
What team is this? I don't know. It looks like a Sun, but we already saw the Suns court.
I was kind
It
of
looked kind
hoping.
of like Pacers color.
I was hoping you knew. Do you have the group stages courts like the
Um,
image of? Let me check on my phone. Maybe I can find it.
okay.
But what is this?
All of them are like pretty obvious, but this one is just like blanking us out.
Is
I'm
this
trying
like
to
a
think,
G
though.
League team?
I will say it looks very random and weird. Um, let me think. I'm trying to think if I can somehow remember it from my mind.
Okay, they're in Group C
Like
for
what
the
team is it?
West. They're in Group C for the West. We went over the
See.
Warriors, the Timberwolves, OKC, and then the Kings. So what is that last team in Group C? Bro, this is the Spurs.
It
Yes, this
That
is
doesn't
the
look
Spurs.
anything like a Spurs court.
Oh, you know what?
What
That's not a
the fuck?
sun. That's a spur.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. It has like a building. It looks like the Seattle. Uh, what is it called?
Ace Nino.
Yeah, it looks like that inside of the Sun Spur thing. Just for the
That's
confusion.
actually quite funny. Neither of us knew what team that was for a long time.
I feel
And
like
even after checking the standings, we had no idea.
just because
Yeah.
of the confusion, we should automatically put it in F. It's an ugly color, anyways.
Yeah.
The logo is confusing.
Yeah. I
Well,
was actually just about to say that. If we can't figure out what team the court is, chances are it probably doesn't deserve to be known because it's probably not very good. So yeah, I think they deserve to be an F simply because we couldn't figure out what team it was.
yeah, it's an F tier. Uh,
Yeah.
next team is the Raptors. We know this one for sure. They didn't make it confusing for us. But
Yeah.
yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Like almost black
To be
court.
honest, I think this court is kind of cool. It's not anything that special, but I think it's kind of cool the dark color scheme. It's not very similar to the city jersey, the gold color,
Yeah, I feel like they
but
needed
I
a
think
little
that's
more
a good,
gold. Oh, you want it?
yeah. No, I was gonna say I think it's a good thing because I don't like that gold jersey. But but I do think that like when the Raptors do use like the gold text on the court in past histories, they make it look pretty cool. So maybe they could have used more gold on the court, but um the jersey the jersey is obviously a story for a different day. I think this is a kind of cool court. I would say it could be on. Uh, maybe B.
I was thinking B. I was thinking B.
Okay, let's put it there.
Yeah, I feel like they needed, as you said, a little more hints of gold. But yeah, definitely like not the whole stripe thing being gold. That would look awful, I think.
Yeah, it would.
Okay, we're almost done. We got the Utah Jazz next with this like lavender color court. It looks really nice, I think. Better than the other purple court, I think, with the Suns. A or S for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't think that the court looks as good as the jerseys because the
Nah.
jerseys are so good. I think that the court is kind of okay to me. I was thinking maybe in like the B range. Um, but like it's kind of cool, honestly. Like I would not mind if we put it in A tier. So we can do like a toss up between those two.
Okay, I guess A, since I did mention S tier, will
Okay,
be
sure.
somewhat in the middle. But that leaves us with the
Yeah.
last court, which before looking it up, I didn't know which court it was. But yeah, it's the Wizards. What do you think on the Wizards court?
Yeah. This looks kind of weird. Um, I don't think it's necessarily a F tier. I just think that the court looks a little bit too minty because, like, for an NBA court, I don't think that mint colors really fits. That being said, I don't think it's necessarily a F tier court, but I think that a D tier court is very arguable. So maybe I'll put this one in D.
All right, let's put it in D. And that is our tier list. Looking at it, it's pretty spread out. Like, of course, only one S tier, but for the rest of the tier list, it's pretty spread out. I can quickly go over the tiers. So in F, it's Warriors, Pelicans, Rockets, Sixers, and surprisingly, that is supposed to be a Spurs court. In D, it's the Bulls, Heat, Nuggets, Thunder, Kings, Wizards. C, we got a lot in C. We got the Nets, the Hornets, Mavs, Grizzlies, Pistons, Bucks, Lakers, Clippers. B, we got the Cavs, Pacers, Magic, Blazers, Raptors. A, we got the Hawks, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Suns, and the Jazz. And lastly, in S tier alone is the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Overall, this was a pretty fun list to make. Some of them were kind of tricky to rate, honestly, because there were a lot of very mid-tier jersey courts that were like not that great, but not horrible, so kind of hard to fit in. But that's probably the reason why we had a lot of C ratings. But overall, these tier lists are fun to make as usual, whether it's jerseys or courts.
Yeah, they're pretty fun,
But
honestly. There we go. That's our tier list. And that's our podcast. I hope you guys all enjoyed I guess this week's episode of the podcast. How do you feel after episode 4 of our podcast?
it seemed like we didn't really have quite as much material to go over this week, but even then, we stretched out an episode quite long still. But I guess, although we didn't really have a lot of topics, there were a lot of in-depth details we were able to go through. So that's why we stretched things a little bit longer than expected, maybe. But yeah, uh, it was a fun episode. Per usual, let me guess again, right? Cut off. Oh, fuck. Okay. Okay, just okay. Uh but yeah, it's been fun. Per usual, always fun to go over NBA news. Uh and certain topics, even though maybe it doesn't seem that long, it's important to go over in details because we want to cover everything in depth. Per usual, it's always fun talking hoops. Um, Next week next episode, I should be back in the United States, so hopefully there will be less technical issues, and maybe we'll also be able to work our time a little bit in a shorter episode, because that is the goal. We don't want to keep you guys waiting for 2.5 hours every week or 2 hours every week if not needed. But continue to stay tuned to our channel. If you like our content, leave a subscription, like, comment, subscribe. You can also check out our podcasts on all the different platforms, which you have linked in the description. And we look forward to continuing this journey.
For sure. Don't forget our social medias as well. I've been slacking. I haven't been making the TikToks, the reels, and clips, but please check it out. There will be content eventually, I guess. But yeah, as always, it was fun talking
Definitely.
hoops. As I told you earlier, like this podcast thing that we are doing, even though it's not getting crazy views or anything, it's always something that I love looking forward to every week. And yeah, I'm glad that we're doing this for sure. But okay, I guess we are done here. So thank you all for checking out our podcast. I don't know where Hoops went, but we'll end it here. So thank you all for checking out this episode 4. And yeah, we'll see you all next time. Later.